You see, there's something alternatively odd that occurs while you begin to wake up. Whilst you forestall gambling the sport quite so critically, when you see via the first straight cosmic joke of it all, you grow to be, how shall I position it? Inconvenient. You end up an infection to those who are still fast asleep, still clutching desperately to their roles, their mask, their cautiously constructed experience of who they assume they may be. It is now not what you're seeking to trouble all people, pretty the other. You are virtually being your breathing. You are on foot via existence with a certain lightness, a sure freedom. However, that very freedom, that very peace you convey, it disturbs something in others. It rattles their cages, and that they do not even know why. Have you noticed this? You walk into a room perfectly calm, perfectly pleasant, and a person appears at you as if you've simply insulted their entire circle of relatives. You haven't said a word. You have not achieved something incorrect. However, your very presence seems to spark off a few invisible alarm in their frightened machine. What's taking place here? Why does your peace make them so uncomfortable? Why does your refusal to play the social games cause such atypical reactions? Properly, allow me tell you what is sincerely going on. When you wake up, while you see through the phantasm of the separate self, when you stop identifying with the ego and all its determined demands, you turn out to be a mirror, and mirrors, as you already know, may be terribly uncomfortable things. They show human beings what they do not want to look, not due to the fact you are judging them, not because you are looking to cause them to feel terrible, but clearly because you exist in an extraordinary manner now. You are not gambling via the vintage guidelines, and that makes the ego in others very, very nervous. So let's communicate about the 5 methods people's egos will react in your awakening. Not so you can experience superior, mind you. That could simply be your very own ego sneaking again in through the facet door, but so that you can recognize what's going on. So you can reply with compassion in preference to confusion. So that you can maintain to walk your course without being thrown off by these reactions. When you forestall defending yourself, whilst you prevent justifying your picks, while you surely say no without a paragraph of motives, something strange takes place. Humans get dissatisfied. They call for causes. They need you to show that you have a terrific cause for living the manner you live. You spot. The ego likes to judge. It loves to assess, to degree, to determine whether or not someone else's choices meet its approval. And whilst you refuse to play this game, while you don't offer your lifestyles up for inspection, the ego feels robbed. It feels as though you're being impolite, unfair, even arrogant. But here's the thing. You do not owe every person and reason for your life. You do not need permission to be. You do not have to justify your peace, your alternatives, your way of transferring through the arena. When you asleep, you likely spent big amounts of power trying to make others understand you, looking to prove which you were reciting correctly. But now you've seen through that trap. You have found out that no amount of explaining will fulfill the ego's starvation for manage. So what takes place? Humans get indignant. They accuse you of thinking you're better than them. They say you've got to emerge as distant, cold, difficult to attain. But you haven't modified within the manner they assume. You truly stopped performing. You stopped auditioning for a position of their drama. And the beautiful issue is, you don't need to argue approximately it. You do not need to shield your refusal to defend yourself. You simply smile perhaps and move about your enterprise like water flowing around a rock. The rock can complain all it right away, however the water simply continues flowing. Range 2, they will check you to peer in case you're actual. That is a curious one. Whilst humans feel that you've found something, a few form of peace or clarity they haven't located, they frequently cannot face up to checking out it. It is like whilst you tell someone you are no longer troubled by way of something, and that they right now try and bother you about that very element, they poke, they prod, They say matters designed to get a reaction. Why do they try this? Because the ego in them wants to show that you're simply pretending. It needs to reveal that underneath your calm outside, you are just as tense, just as reactive, simply as trapped as they're. If they could get you to break, to lose your composure, to snake back at them, then they can dismiss what you represent. They can cross lower back to sleep feeling justified. You may discover humans bringing up antique arguments, bringing up matters they understand used to disenchanted you, developing situations designed to push your buttons. A colleague at paintings would possibly suddenly begin criticizing everything you do. A member of the family might deliver up that one topic they realize usually started fights. A friend would possibly make remarks about how you've got modified, how you're now not fun anymore, how you are taking yourself too severely or now not critically enough. And here's what's amazing about this. If you react, if you get protecting or indignant or disappointed, their ego wins. It receives to say, "See, I knew it. You're no longer surely at peace. You are just putting on an act." But if you do not react, in case you continue to be calm and present, their ego receives even greater irritated due to the fact now it cannot push aside you. Now it has to face the opportunity that what you've got might be actual. So what do? You allow them to check. You allow them to poke and prod, no longer because you are looking to prove whatever, however, due to the fact you in reality aren't afflicted anymore. You visible through the dream. That they're trying out is simply their own fear speak me, their personal ego looking to defend itself from the opportunity of exchange. Number 3, they will gossip and create testimonies about you. While you forestall taking part within the constant drama of social life, while you stop gossiping, forestall complaining, stop playing the games of alliance and betrayal, something thrilling happens. You end up a subject of gossip yourself. Humans will create memories about you. They'll say you observed you're better than each person else. They will say you have come to be ordinary, disconnected, too religious, not grounded. They will surprise what is wrong with you, what passed off to make you so one of a kind, and they may discuss all of this at the back of your back, weaving theories and explanations in your conduct. Why does this take place? Due to the fact the ego wishes to make sense of factors. While someone steps outside the same old styles, the ego in others becomes uncomfortable. It wishes to categorize, to label, to put you in a box it could recognize. And if it cannot find a box that fits, it'll create one, typically a box that makes you appear fallacious or silly or misguided in some manner. You would possibly hear via others that humans are pronouncing you've had a few sort of breakdown, or that you're going through a section, or which you've joined some weird religious cult. The memories will vary, but they'll all have one thing in not unusual. They may all be tries to explain away what is occurring with you in a way that protects their own international view. And here's the element, you can't forestall this, you cannot manage what others say approximately you. If you strive in case you move around defending yourself, correcting the testimonies, putting the record immediately, you may exhaust yourself. You'll be pulled proper lower back into the drama you've been seeking to step far away from. The wakened reaction is to let them speak, allow them to create their stories, let them gossip and theorize and fear about you in the event that they need to. Their stories have nothing to do with you besides. Their stories approximately their own fears, their personal resistance to alternate, their personal unwillingness to impeach the sport they may be gambling. As they say, what others think about you is none of your enterprise. And it clearly isn't always. You aren't the man or woman in their tale. You're in reality you walking your path, being present, living with recognition. The relaxation is simply noise. Number 4, they will attempt to pull you again into old patterns. This one may be specially tricky, in particular with human beings you've known for a long time, own family individuals, antique friends, individuals who knew you earlier than you woke up. They bear in mind the old you, the you who performed the games, who were given disappointed approximately, the things they were given disillusioned approximately, who participated in all the usual dramas, and now you have changed. You do not react the equal way. You do not get pulled into the same arguments. You do not play your antique function inside the own family dynamic or the social institution. And this makes them uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. So what do? They are trying to drag you back. They'll bring up vintage memories looking to remind you of who you was. They will invite you into antique styles of touching on. They will create situations in which you are anticipated to play your vintage part. And in case you do not, they may specific harm or confusion or frustration. A mom might say, "You used to inform me the entirety what occurred." A pal may whinge which you're now not the equal character anymore, that you've misplaced your sense of humor, which you're no a laugh. A sibling might accuse you of wondering you are too precise for the own family now. It shows that maybe others should exchange too, and that's a daunting thought for the ego. Trade means uncertainty. Alternate means the cozy patterns won't hold. So they withstand your transformation by trying to make you the same person you was. However, you cannot move again. Even in case you wanted to, you could not. As soon as you have seen via the phantasm, once you've tasted actual freedom, the antique ways of being feel like costumes that now not in shape. You could love these humans. You may be kind to them. You can spend time with them, but you cannot foe to be a person you're now not anymore just to make them comfortable. So what do? You continue to be gift. You remain loving, but you don't take the bait. Whilst they are attempting to pull you into an old argument, you don't argue. When they are trying to make you sense responsible for converting, you do not shield yourself. You clearly are who you are now, and you accept as true with that either they may adjust to this new manner of relating, or they may not. In either manner you keep in your course. Wide variety 5. They will experience uncomfortable on your presence. That is perhaps the maximum diffused and the most effective reaction. While you've woke up, when you're now not recognized with the ego and all its video games, your very presence turns into uncomfortable for those who are still deeply asleep. It's no longer that you're doing something incorrect. It's no longer that you're judging them or looking down on them or trying to make them experience awful. In truth, you is probably more tammied, greater present, more simply interested by them than you ever have been before. Something approximately your strength, your manner of being makes them squirm. Why? Due to the fact focus is contagious, while your gift, when you're not caught up inside the steady chatter of the mind, whilst you're surely being, it creates a space of stillness, a space of cognizance. And in that area, different human beings' ego chatter turns into all at once very loud to them. They become conscious, despite the fact that simply barely, of the noise of their very own heads. They grow to be aware of their personal anxiety, their very own restlessness, their own constant want to be somewhere else, doing something else, being a person else. Your peace mirrors their chaos. Your stillness displays their agitation, and in place of the use of this as an possibility to question their personal way of being, the ego's first instinct is to blame you for making them uncomfortable. It is your fault they feel this way. You are too extreme, you are too calm, you're too quiet. Something need to be wrong with you if you're no longer as demanding and busy and concerned as they are. You may word humans do not want to take a seat with you in silence. They fill every gap with chatter. They ask you what you're questioning, what is incorrect, why you're so quiet. They interpret your presence as judgment, whilst it's certainly presence. They assignment onto you their own soreness with stillness, with silence, with without a doubt being. And here's the lovely paradox. The very aspect that makes them uncomfortable, your awakened presence, is precisely what they want. Your stillness invites them to be nonetheless. Your peace offers them the opportunity of peace. Your freedom suggests them that freedom is possible, but the ego resists this invitation with the whole lot it has, because accepting it manner dying to the ego. It way letting move of all the games, all of the testimonies, all of the desperate tries to show its existence. So some human beings will actually avoid you. They will make excuses now not to spend time with you. They may float far from your existence, and that is okay. You cannot pressure all people to awaken. You cannot drag them into awareness. All you can do is be who you're and accept as true with that folks that are ready could be attracted to what you constitute. Others might accuse you of being judgmental. Even though you are no longer judging them at all, they sense judged without a doubt by being inside the presence of someone who is not playing the game anymore. Your very life questions their selections despite the fact that you are no longer saying a word about their selection. This is projection. They choose themselves, after which venture that judgment onto you. The awakened reaction is compassion due to the fact you don't forget what it became like to be asleep. You recollect the steady anxiety, the want to defend yourself, the arduous recreation of seeking to be somebody. You don't forget how uncomfortable it was to be round everybody who seemed to have determined something you were nevertheless desperately seeking. So you do not take their discomfort for my part. You do not make it imply anything approximately you. You without a doubt continue to be present, to be type, to be available if they need to speak or be silent collectively. Now, here's what's essential to apprehend approximately all 5 of these reactions. They are now not approximately you. They're approximately the opposite persons dating with their personal ego. Whilst you wake up, you grow to be a reflect. And what humans see in that mirror is not you. It is themselves. They see their personal fears, their very own resistance, their own attachment to the game they may be gambling. A few will look in the reflect and feel inspired. They may want to recognize what you observed. They will ask questions. They will be curious approximately this peace you seem to hold. These are those who are prepared, who are beginning to awaken themselves. They understand in you something they've been looking for, even supposing they do not know what to call it but. However, others will appearance in the replicate and feel threatened, and they will react in a single or greater of the methods we have mentioned. They may demand motives, test you, gossip about you, strive to tug you lower back, or absolutely experience uncomfortable around you. And all of that is simply the ego's way of shielding itself from the opportunity of change. The girl who glares at you within the grocery save isn't always truly seeing you. She's seeing her very own soreness meditated returned at her. The colleague who constantly criticizes you is not really responding to what you do. He is responding to what your manner of being says about his way of being. The member of the family who accuses you of thinking you're better than everyone isn't always in reality speak me approximately you. They're talking approximately their own insecurity, their own fear of change. Second, you continue to be compassionate due to the fact you know that being asleep is struggling. You recognize what it is like to be trapped inside the ego's gaze, to experience that consistent low-grade tension, to constantly be protecting yourself in opposition to a few imagined hazard. So while human beings react to you in these ways, you spot it for what it's for. Cry for help, a determined try to preserve the most effective sense of self they understand. 0. 33. You do not dim your light to make others at ease. That is vital. You might be tempted out of kindness to go back to gambling some of the antique games, to fake you are nonetheless asleep simply to shape in, simply to keep away from making waves. However, this does not serve each person. Your light, your wakened presence is a gift to the sector, even when it makes humans uncomfortable, mainly while it makes human beings uncomfortable, because that pain is the first step toward wandering in the direction of waking up. Fourth, you agree with the manner. You understand that awakening is not something you may supply to anybody else. They have to locate it themselves. Your job isn't always to wake all people up. Your process is in reality to be wide awake yourself. And in being awake, in dwelling from that region of presence and peace, you provide an opportunity. You display that some other way is available. What others do with that opportunity is as much as them. And fifth, you hold your sense of humor about everything. Direction truly is knotted as a substitute humorous, the top-notch cosmic comic story of it all. Here we're focus pretending to be separate individuals. Egos preventing with other egos, all and sundry forgetting that we're the equal issue looking at itself via exceptional eyes. Whilst you see this, whilst you actually get the funny story, you cannot assist but snigger. No longer at others, however, with them, because we are all on this ridiculous play together. You see, the infection people sense isn't a problem to be solved. It is a part of the technique. It's part of how awakening spreads. One character wakes up and their presence creates ripples. A few human beings surf ripples closer to their own awakening. Others face up to them, construct partitions towards them. They don't sense them. However, the ripples maintain. The presence maintains, the light keeps to polish, and here's the final mystery. The greater you stop worrying approximately these reactions, the greater effective your presence becomes. When you're seeking to show something, trying to persuade others, trying to cause them to see, you're still stuck inside the ego sport. But when you truly are, whilst you live your life with presence and peace without any agenda, with none want for others to recognize or approve, it's whilst the real magic occurs. Due to the fact then you're not gambling the game at all. You're not seeking to win. You are no longer defending yourself. You are not even looking to wake everybody up. You're simply being, and being is the maximum effective aspect in the world. Being is what the ego can't face up to. Being is what steadily dissolves all the gains, all the stories, all the determined attempts to be any individual special. So allow them to react, allow them to demand causes, let them check you, allow them to gossip. Allow them to strive to drag you lower back. Allow them to feel uncomfortable. It's all part of the dance. It is all part of the play. And you simply hold being gift, aware, free. You walk through the world like water through rocks, like wind through trees, like light through darkness. Not forcing anything, no longer resisting something, honestly flowing in reality being. And in that simple being, you offer the most powerful coaching of all, the teaching that has no phrases, the teaching that cannot be explained. The teaching that irritates each ego it encounters because it indicates without pronouncing a phrase that the emperor has no clothes, that the sport we are all playing is just a sport, that beneath all of the roles and masks and tails there is in reality this presence, this cognizance, this being, and that my buddies is pretty